What's up everyone? In this video, I want to share with you a challenge I did. It's an exercise. I don't think there's an official name for it, so let's just call it the count every single minute of the day challenge or the minute challenge. And the basic idea of it is that you take out a piece of note paper and you write out every single minute of the day and what you did for that time. So the point of it is to document every single moment, to identify the points where you're wasting time that you don't even realize it. This is a fairly common time management technique. I realized I discovered it on my own, but apparently other people use it as well. And I usually do it over an entire week, which is surprisingly what a lot of other people do. Some people do it over a specific day. And so I've documented most of today's activities for myself, and I wanted to share that with you. But I don't think the results are conclusive because generally speaking, you need like a week spread to get a more relevant results because I mean, today just might be a weird day. However, I think it's a quite honest assessment of how I do my things. And I just want to share with you some of the results, and some of them are a bit surprising. I did this experiment a few years ago, and the results were so shocking that I got out a calculator and recalculated the results like 3 times. I know it's really nerdy, but guess what? Most people, they're really bad at productivity. You want to know why most people don't succeed? It's because they spend 4 hours a day doing unproductive stuff. And it's usually not huge blocks. It's 5 minutes here watching this, 10 minutes here surfing the web, 17 minutes here talking to their coworker, and they wonder why they're not successful. So it's really scary how most unsuccessful people or average individuals, they're very unaware of how much time they waste on a daily basis. So that's the point of this. One could argue it's nerdy, but it's really not. I mean, there's some really cool individuals who aren't as nerdy looking as me who do this, and that's one of the reasons that they succeed. And I think it's still a very uncommon thing, even amongst successful people, to do this. So I simply block out my time, and then each time I switch to a different activity, I have to write it down. So if I spend 21 minutes on task and then I move to surfing the web, I have to write that down. And so I'll write 21 minutes on task, 3 minutes on YouTube. And let's just be honest. The first thing was that doing this, it kind of kept me on track, and it kind of made me really aware of when I, went off track, and kind of made me a bit guilty of it, and like prevented me numerous times from going off track. So the results of this are probably better than I usually do, for sure. And that's scary. And it really made me aware of the numerous amounts of times that I wasted. So let me highlight the big things that I think I waste a lot, or not really waste time, which I'll explain, but the big blocks of unproductive time. So there's 51 minutes of intentional social media and web surfing activities. And what I mean by intentional is that I voluntarily went to these things because I was just exhausted, or I was getting a little bit bored, or sometimes it was I would reason part of a long-term strategy. So for instance, this YouTube video, I did certain elements of YouTube video making and all sorts of stuff like changing the channel default settings, the description settings, all sorts of like small social media growing things that arguably was beneficial and productive in the long run. So it's one of those weird things. Some of it was, let's just be honest, just because I was getting bored and exhausted. So it's one of those things where I think it would have been even worse, maybe an extra 30 minutes if I didn't put this on. And putting it on and like seeing me write down 2 minutes or 5 minutes or 10 minutes, it really kind of lessened the amount of time I would have spent on it. So that's scary. And I say 51 minutes as the total. I didn't block out an entire 51 minutes straight of doing this. It was usually roughly around 2 minutes to 7 minutes each time. So it would always just be like a small thing. And I know for sure that if I didn't block it out, if I didn't write it out, I probably would have gone for maybe 20 minutes or longer. So that's scary. And then there's 11 minutes of what I call unintentional web surfing and social media activity, where maybe I'm on LinkedIn or something, or just somewhere, whether it's Facebook or something, that because of the viral nature of it, it leads me on to see other things. And then I reason it's kind of productive because I'll be reading articles that are like 5 habits of highly successful people, and I'm reasoning, well, that's helpful to me, right? So it can't be unproductive. So for my list specifically, it may not be like your list, because a lot of stuff I'm identifying as unproductive on here, I could arguably reason are productive, which is the danger. There's this Warren Buffett quote, and he basically says that the biggest dangers are not the things that you know are unproductive, but the things that are number 3 or number 10 or number 17 on your list of to-dos, because they distract from number 1. And I think a lot of people fall into my state, and then there's people who don't. They do blatantly unproductive stuff like Netflix, or just watch entertaining BuzzFeed videos. So those are the big things I want to highlight on this list. I notice I sleep a lot, around 10 hours, but I think that's okay because I've done a lot of research and study on this. And sleeping a lot, it just does so much more. It triples your productivity and focus, rather than, sleeping 2 hours a day and just like you can't even focus your mind. There's a lot of health and longevity benefits to just sleeping as long as you need. So I'm going to let myself slide on that. I was on task for a solid amount of time, 2 hours. Again, the day is not over. I still have maybe at least a good 3 to 5 hours of productive time left in this day. As far as other stuff, I spent a whole hour doing blogging related activities. So it was usually around 2 minutes to 10 minutes of time where I would jump to something where it would just be like, oh, that'd be an interesting topic for a blog. Let me start an outline or part of a blog or something else. So that added up to an hour, which was surprisingly much more than I would have thought. I only took 15 minutes to eat my lunch, which wasn't that bad. Another 5 minutes was devoted in total to surfing the web. That was made up of one 2-minute and one 3-minute segment. Chores took me a lot of time. Today it was a lot more than usual, so it was up to an hour, but usually that's not the case. So if there's any way for me to streamline that or eliminate it, maybe one thing that successful people do is if they make $100 an hour, they're not going to spend an hour doing chores. They'll pay someone $15 to do that, and then they'll buy back more of their time because their time is worth $100, not $15 an hour. So I'm not at a state where I can pay for a personal chore guy, but maybe in the future. 20 minutes of tech issues. That was made up of 3 segments of about 5 to 7 minutes of computer related issues. That's a huge problem right now. There's certain elements of my computer that keep making it shut down and the screen going black without me being able to fix it and having to restart. So I've tried to fix the issue. I don't know if it's a permanent fix though, but if I could fix that, I would buy back at least maybe 10 to 20 minutes of time on a daily basis, and I would be able to streamline my workflow better. So that's it for my activities. Again, it's a bit surprising. Not as surprising as it was a few years ago. I was even worse then. But I would say the biggest things are the amount of time I waste on various platforms and websites, as well as spending too much time blogging and maybe streamlining certain processes more. I think the big lesson though is that certain elements of my life I have to be more aware of, and writing them down helps me do that. And then the second thing is that, well, quite frankly, um, some things require a little bit of break and relaxation. And when I'm exhausted or doing an activity I don't want to do, but I have to do, it kind of, at some point, I break or whatever you want to call it, and I go into maybe uh, activities that are more you know, fun or uh, relaxing for me, and that is a bit of a danger because I spend too much time doing them, and they're not really that great. So that is something that's worthy of looking at. Ideally, in the long term, in the next 5 years, I want to work towards something where I can combine them both, where I love doing it and I want to do it and it's productive. That is harder said than done though, and a lot of those social media, surfing the web things, it's very hard to really turn that into a productive or career focused activity. Finally, I want to conclude with a few things that you can start doing, a few tech tools and little exercises that can maybe help you. The first is something called Pomodoro. Now, this is like all the craze, so I kind of avoided it because apparently hundreds of thousands of people love this productivity hack, and it feels a bit too mainstream, even though it is niche. I mean, if you go into the public, no one knows what it is. But the basic idea behind it is you get a 25-minute timer, and then you decide on one goal, and then you set the timer, and for 25 minutes you can't do anything but that goal. And then you get a 5-minute break and you repeat. And there's little cool timers you can buy shaped like fruit, and you can also get a free app by Pomodoro, which is what I did. I mean, it's just a 25-minute timer. Honestly, for me though, again, there's more details to the process than just that, but that's the general idea. And from my basic attempt at doing it, it was rather tough to sustain for 25 straight minutes. I would say maybe 15 minutes or 10 minutes may be a better time frame for me. And I invented something called STSMVs, which stand for short, time sensitive, measurable victories. And the basic idea is have something short, time sensitive, and measurable. So maybe I want to do a blog post and I want to finish writing it in the next 10 minutes. Because it's short, because it's measurable, and you can check off whether it's done or not. It's something that you can really do, and it will help motivate you and keep you on task. So that's my results with Pomodoro. I'm going to keep using it, and of course I'll be continuing to document my journey across the entire week. The next thing is Momentum. It is a Chrome extension. It's free, and the basic idea is it sets your homepage to just say hello and then your first name, and then it asks you for your number one objective, your number one goal for that day. And I think that's very useful for productivity. So I type it in every day and it displays, and it reminds me each time I try and open up a new tab to go surf the web or whatever, it brings me back on track. And I've just started using that. It's been useful. And then the last thing is just like if you guys don't know, there's this guy called DJ Khaled. He's popping up in pop culture now because he's this like funny, goofy guy, and he's like a DJ, and he's done a few very popular pop songs. The point is, he did this thing where he does this thing where he's just like doing this motivational speech, and he's just like, another one, another one, another one, another one. And the point of that video, he just keeps going on in different like intonations, is to get you to keep doing more and more and more. And it's comedic, so I find it useful. It's funny, which energizes me, and it also motivates me a bit. So that's something as well. And that's it. Obviously, we're going to be documenting the whole week to see what happens. Interesting results, and of course, thanks for watching. Stay tuned for the rest of the journey. I'll see you in my next video. Of course, you can hit the subscribe button below this video if you want free weekly updates. It's every Thursday at noon for a new video. And of course, there's plenty of videos that I've already released that you can go ahead and watch to improve your own success in life. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you later.